Welcome back to the poker vlog. This is episode number 260. For this one, we're playing a 5-10-20 game with some familiar faces at the Wynn in Las Vegas. It's the home of the WPT World Championship in December. That was my favorite event last year. I ran deep, I made day 5, and I got my biggest score at the time, which was 99,000. I won a handful of satellites on WPTGold.com. I won 3 different ones and I gave them away. And WPT Global is doing the same thing this year. So I'll be on there playing the satellites, but if you want to compete and try and win one yourself, it's a great way to try and get an entrance to the World Championship. If you use bonus code BRAD, you get up to a $1,200 deposit match, which is a huge value. And aside from these satellites running on there, they're just by far the softest online games that I've ever played. I typically play about the equivalent of 10-20 on there. And this morning I won $1,200 in about 20 minutes. So I could shoot this and include it in this promo. So it doesn't always go that way. There's a lot of variance in these games because the players on there are gambling big time. But if you want to play online and you're in a country that allows you to play on WPT Global, definitely check out this site and take advantage of all the value and the soft games, and use that bonus code BRAD. Helps me out and it helps you out as well. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're heading to the Wynn Poker Room on the Encore side to play what's become my favorite cash game in Las Vegas. The property itself is unmatched. It's home of the WPT 1-drop as well as the World Championship. Maybe someday I'll get a trophy like this to put on the back shelf. Although it's tournament season, we're firing in 5-10 tonight. It's a 3K max buy-in, which is perfect for my comfort zone. It's enough to get me excited about playing, but not too much that it'll be devastating if I lose a buy-in or two. We begin the session just after midnight. We're joined by a few friends that we'll be duking it out with. About an hour in, we pick up Ace-King offsuit in the small blind. There are straddles on nearly every hand, including this one. The hijack raises to 50. The cutoff has been playing on the wilder side. He lives up to his reputation with a 3-bet to 150. We've got a couple of options. I use a 50-50, then I poll the audience. The right answer ends up being pretty clear. We have to punish the opponents. I put in the cold 4-bet to 500. It should send a signal more clear than the wow. The hijack picks up on it and folds. The cutoff is a gambling man. He makes the call for 350 more. We're heads up out of position in what's already a 4-figure pot. The flop comes Jack 10 deuce with 2 spades. We've got a gutter with 2 overs and a backdoor spade draw. There's a decent amount going on with our hand, but I expect the cutoff to at least occasionally have strong holdings, like sets of jacks and 10s, in addition to overpairs. I definitely like to make it to at least a turn card. I check to ensure that we don't get blown off of our potential. This isn't a Costco, so we won't be getting anything for free. The cutoff bet's 330. Even though I haven't put out as many YouTube videos lately due to playing a lot, I can still afford that amount. I make the call. Ideally, we can drill a queen of some sort. The turn is the 8 of spades. It's not exactly what we wanted, but we at least pick up a draw to the ace-high flush, and almost equally important, we have a key blocker. I check to the cutoff once more. I wouldn't expect him to bet that frequently for value, given that this should be a scary turn card. I can definitely have some flushes that I would have played this way. The cutoff can't be stopped. He puts in a suspect bet of 600. I've got 18-10 total. I don't really want to just flat the 600. I'm not entirely sure what the cutoff has. I know what he doesn't have though. These loose aggressive opponents who bet, sometimes you've got to put them to the test. That's what we do.
Owen.
We get a count of our stack to confirm that we have another 12-10 on top of the cutoff's bet. Our all-in doesn't get snap called. I'm glad to have chips in front of me at least a little longer. We still would like to see a fold. Otherwise, we're going to need some help in the form of a spade or queen. The opponent takes his time. It's a big decision. Finally, he makes the call. It hurts to see it, but all hope isn't lost. We've got to have some outs. It's a pot well over $5,000. The river is another jack. It's extremely disappointing. I turn over what's become complete air. We beat absolutely nothing. The cutoff reveals that he has pocket 10s for a full house. It's a monster hand that we ran into, like I'm sure some of you suspected. Except he doesn't actually show his cards at all. He looks at him in disbelief because he doesn't have the winner. Our ace-king offsuit is somehow the best hand and a massive all-in. It's rare that a semi-bluff shove on the turn gets called, doesn't improve, and still gets the win. Maybe today is our day. We're up a few thousand. The opponent would later tell me that he had king-queen offsuit with a spade, he was drawing slim against us, and gets exactly what he deserves for calling our cold 4-bet light. Next we've got pocket jacks under the gun +1. The straddle's on, I raised to 50. The under the gun straddler is the only caller, we're heads up in position, the flop comes 8-8-5 with 2 diamonds, not bad. The opponent checks, we need to bet for value and protection, I make it 40 to go. This amount is apparently not enough. The opponent check raises to 140. This puts me in a weird spot. Maybe we've got the best hand with our overpair, maybe we're drawing to 2 outs. I can't give up yet. I call for 100 more to see what develops on the turn. The dealer puts out another 5. It's only a good card if the opponent has a flush draw. Otherwise, I'm losing to some hands that he may have check raised with just to see where he's at. There's no slowing down. The opponent bets 220. In poker, we'll often be in spots where we know we're going to be beat a lot of the time, but can't fold because we're getting too good of a price, and there's always some slim chance that we're somehow best or could improve. This is one of those. I'm not thrilled about it, but I call. An 8 or a jack would be great to see. Instead, the river is the 9 of diamonds. It's perhaps the worst card in the deck. Not only do flushes get there, straights get there, and pocket 9s improve to a boat. The opponent surprisingly checks. Perhaps he's trapping, or maybe he's legitimately afraid that he's beat. I check back. We're fortunate this time because the opponent has pocket 10s. We have him notched to win a medium-sized pot. I wasn't feeling very confident that we had the best hand. I'm happy that we stuck around and it worked out. You may notice that I've got a bracelet on my wrist. My girlfriend's daughter Emma made it for me. It's supposed to be red and gold for the Niners colors because she knows that's my favorite football team. So far, it's been pretty lucky. A few hours into the session, we pick up pocket queens in middle position. Under the gun +1 is the player who we beat with the ace high and the big all-in earlier. He raises to 60. I can't allow anyone to see a flop for that price when we're all playing deep. I 3-bet to 200. The players behind me should be cautious after seeing me 3-bet over an early position raise. The button wants to insert himself into the situation anyway. He cold calls, probably with a hand like jacks, 10s, or ace-queen suited. I hope you haven't forgotten about the initial pre-flop raiser, who we've already pegged as an aggressive player. He might be out for revenge. He 4-bets to 800. Under the gun +1 shouldn't really have any bluffs in his range, but I know he's wild, so I suppose that he could. We're playing almost 500 big blinds effective. 5-betting will only get calls from hands I'm flipping with or that have me crushed. I call for 600 more. I prefer to be heads up rather than have the button call and play a 3-way 4-bet pot from out of position. The button isn't quick to make a decision. He's getting over 3-1 on a call. Fortunately, he folds. It's down to heads up with almost 2,000 in the middle. The flop comes 6-5-4 rainbow. I'm not sure if that's good or bad for me. If the opponent has ace-king or worse, it's great. If he has aces or kings, we're going to lose a lot more money. Under the gun +1 is at least going to continue repping a premium overpair. He bets 700. There's no way I'll be folding at this juncture. I gather chips, and I make the call, not really wanting to see my opponent contribute any additional chips to the pot. The turn is the jack of spades. I've got mixed feelings about it. If the opponent happened to have jacks, he's now taking the lead. That's the only new plausible hand that beats us though. Under the gun +1 checks. I'm not 100% sure what to make of this check. Is he giving up with ace-king, or is he trapping with top set? Aces and kings can't be entirely ruled out either. Do I want to check this and potentially give the opponent an opportunity to drill an ace or king? I've got less than a pot-sized bet in my stack. I'm not sure what optimal sizing would be if I do decide to bet. This is a tricky situation. Ultimately, I feel like we're best and I want to deny equity. I jam for 3,118 total. I mostly anticipate a quick decision from the opponent since he should be snap folding ace-king and snap calling with a set of jacks. The fact that he's slow to make a decision has me concerned that he's got rockets or cowboys. The same player did call off with king high in that all-in previously though, so maybe he's still considering calling with a hand that we have in bad shape. A minute goes by and still no action from the opponent. 2 minutes go by, still nothing. Finally, after 2.5 minutes, under the gun +1 folds. It's another big pot that goes our way. I show the opponent that we had the best hand. There's no way that he folded aces or kings, especially knowing how light he called my all-in before. I don't really like my choice to shove, particularly against other players, but maybe against this exact opponent, it isn't bad because there's a possibility he calls me with ace high. It's a good night overall. There are a few vlog watchers in our game. Andrew's joined from a broken table, and Gordon Ramsay's son is having a great session that he wants you all to know about.
Make sure you get my stat because all you little YouTube fellas on here saying, "Oh, you're Gordon Ramsay's son." Oh, this
Big mittens out of the way. Spraggy has about 12,000 in front of him. He's crushing it with close to a $9,000 profit. Maybe we can catch up as we're dealt king-queen offsuit under the gun +1. The player on our right has the straddle on. We're going to be playing. I raised to 50. There are a couple people interested in going to battle. The middle position player calls. The under the gun straddler calls as well. We're going 3 ways to the flop. It comes king jack 4 with 2 diamonds. We've got top pair with a backdoor straight draw. Under the gun checks. We're going to bet for value and equity denial. I make it 70. The player in middle position sticks around with a call. Under the gun doesn't like his chances of winning. He folds. It's down to heads up. The turn is the 4 of clubs. I'll rarely have trips as the early position raiser. The opponent won't have trips very often either. But I check for pot control and to gain information. If the opponent checks back, I'll be confident that we've got the winner. The middle position player does check back. He wouldn't have done that with king jack or better. The river is the 9 of hearts. Queen 10 gets there, but that's the only hand that's much of a concern. Maybe king 9 suited as well. There's only one possible combo of that though. I bet 200 for value. We can get calls from hands like king 10 suited, ace jack, queen jack, and jack 10. It doesn't appear that the opponent is all that strong as he's deciding whether or not to call. This isn't that large of a bet for this game. Still, the middle position player takes 2 minutes before finally making the call. We turn over our top pair and a playable kicker. It's up. And it's good. We don't see the opponent's cards as they're returned face down to the dealer. It's another nice pot that goes our way. Our stack climbs to about 7,000. We're up 4,000 on the day with no end in sight. Shortly after, we've got ace-6 of diamonds in the cutoff. The player 2 doors down raises to 50. I make the call. Spraggy's on the button. He calls. Andrew's in the big blind. He calls as well. We're going 4 ways to the flop. It's ace queen 10 with 2 diamonds. We've got top pair and a flush draw, and multiple frenemies that still have cards. Andrew checks. The initial pre-flop raiser likes the flop enough to bet into 3 other players. He puts out 100. He could be up against a straight, set, or 2 pair. Since our hand has a great chance of improving and we're in position, we don't need to raise to deter players behind us from calling. In fact, if we improve to the nuts, we want as many players in as possible to potentially pay us off. I call 100. Spraggy apparently has a piece as well. He calls. Andrew folds. 3 of us remain. The turn is the 9 of diamonds, giving us the artificial nuts. We still lose to king jack of diamonds and jack 8 of diamonds, but it's very unlikely we're up against those 2 exact hands, especially as the middle position player checks. We're in a new predicament. We can't check because Spraggy's unlikely to bet as a bluff once diamonds get there, and we're holding the ace of diamonds. If we bet, it'll be clear that we've got a flush, and it could be tough to get paid unless we make it somewhat affordable. I bet 200. This amount will get calls from worse flushes, straights, sets, 2 pair, and some hands like ace king, king queen, or queen jack with a diamond. Spraggy knows that I'll almost never be bluffing. He folds. The player in middle position calls. I don't get the sense that he's very confident in his hand though. We're heads up. The river is the 7 of hearts. It's a blank. I like seeing it. Our opponent checks. Betting again will look incredibly strong. I don't think the opponent will be able to call a large bet. I go with a small sizing at 240 to get calls out of 2 pair hands, maybe ace king, or maybe we can induce a bluff from the opponent if he has king queen with the king of diamonds. The middle position player knows that he's getting milked. He makes the call anyway. We show the goods. The opponent can't believe the run out. He loved the flop and hated the turn. He shows that he flopped the nuts with king jack offsuit. If I had known that he had a hand that good, I would have bet more on the river. The opponent makes me feel better by letting us know that if I had made it more, he would have folded. We're up over 5,000 when we look down at ace 9 of diamonds in the small blind. The cutoff raises to 60. The button calls. I could 3-bet squeeze or call. In this case, I call. Spraggy calls in the big blind. The under the gun straddler calls as well. We're going 5 ways to the flop out of position. It comes 9-5-4 rainbow. We've got top pair, top kicker, and are feeling good. Checks to the button. He's looking to get himself into trouble as he bets 140. We'll be best pretty often, and our hand isn't too likely to improve. We do have some backdoor draws, but mostly we want to win the hand right now and deter our 4 opponents from sticking around. I raised to 400. We can have all the sets, so I wouldn't expect anyone to re-raise us light. The big blind folds. The under the gun straddler isn't going to play nice. He puts in a rare check, re-raise to 1,200. We don't see this play very often. Cutoff folds. The button isn't worried about the 3rd bet, or me still left to act. He calls for 1,060 more. I definitely don't have the winner, and don't have many cards I'll want to see on the turn. I might be drawing dead to run a runner. I fold and leave it to the 2 other players to fight for the pot. I turn off the camera and it doesn't get to showdown, but the under the gun player said that he flopped 2 pair and the button said that he flopped a set. 9-5-4 is surprisingly an action flop. Next, we pick up jacks again. We're in the cutoff. Under the gun +1 raises to 50. The hijack calls. We should have the best hand. I 3-bet to 200. Andrew is in the under the gun straddle. He puts in the cold 4-bet to 500. If we look at what GTO Wizard says to do in similar circumstances, after we input the data for the initial pre-flop raise, the call, and my 3-bet from the cutoff, we eventually see what Andrew's supposed to be raising with, and it's pretty much all hands that we're flipping with or that have us dominated. Then somehow, pocket sixes is on an island of its own that's used as a bluff. If you're not familiar with GTO Wizard, it's a great tool that I use to determine what I'm supposed to do in cash games as well as tournaments at different stack depths for both pre-flop and post-flop play. It's extremely beneficial if you want to look up spots on your own that you're not sure about. I have a link in the description box below that'll give you 10% off if you use it to make a purchase. It folds back to me. Since we're deep and up against a strong range of hands, the best option is to call. We're heads up against a good friend in a big pot. The flop comes Queen 10-8 with 2 spades. It's an interesting one. We've got second pair, but we at least have a gutter to go with it. Andrew down bet significantly to 320. The main hands Andrew will have are aces, kings, ace king, and queens. There are 16 total combos of ace king, while there are only 15 total combined combos of aces, kings, and queens that Andrew could have, so it's actually more likely than not that we're currently ahead, especially if Andrew somehow put in the cold 4-bet with pocket sixes. Spoiler alert, he did not. Jacks is pretty close to the bottom of my range on this flop. I'll have sets of queens and 10 sometimes, and I may even have pocket aces that I'll occasionally be trapping opponents with by just calling the 4-bet pre-flop. I get creative, and I put in a small raise to 800. Could fold out hands with plenty of equity like ace-king that don't contain a spade. It should put pocket kings and even pocket aces in an extremely tough spot. I wouldn't be totally shocked to see aces or kings without a spade go into the muck. If I get called by aces or kings, I'll have control of the pot going forward, so I'll get to pretty much guarantee that I'll be able to see a river for only $480 more, whereas if I call, Andrew might bet a lot more than $480 on the turn with a hand like ace-king as a semi-bluff, and I'd potentially have to fold with the best hand. Andrew calls, so at minimum, he'll have ace-king with at least 1 spade in his hand. He might also have top set, or possibly aces or kings. The turn is the 7 of spades. I don't like it because I could be drawing dead, or Andrew might have picked up a draw to the nuts. Plus, hitting the jack of spades or 9 of spades may not help anymore. Andrew checks. I'm trying to get to showdown as cheaply as possible. I check back. The river is a miraculous 9, giving us the straight. It is the 9 of spades though. There's 4 to the flush out there. If Andrew isn't holding a spade, we'll have the winner. We won't be getting to showdown for free though. Andrew bets 600. Even though we've improved, it's tough for us to be good here. I fold face up. If it were any other 9 in the deck, I wouldn't have to let it go. Andrew's nice enough to let us know he wasn't bluffing. He especially liked the run out, but he had us beat the whole time anyway with pocket aces and the ace of spades. In this one, we've got Queen 10 suited in the big blind. The cutoff is going to raise it up. He opens a 60. It's a fair price for us. I call for 50 more. Spraggy has never seen 2 cards that he doesn't like. He calls in the straddle. We're going 3 ways to the flop. It comes 9-7 deuce with 2 clubs. We've got a flush draw, 2 overs, and a strong backdoor straight draw. Checks to the cutoff. He's content firing. He bets 80. I appreciate him sweetening the pot for us when we eventually win. I call. Spraggy must not have connected. He folds. It's down to heads up. The turn is the queen of hearts giving us top pair. If we were behind before, maybe we've taken the lead. I check to the pre-flop aggressor. He apparently doesn't like the queen out there. He checks back. We should be best. The river is another 9. Not all that worried about it. Feels to me like we're up against jacks or 10s. I don't want to check and have all hands that we're beating check back. I put out a large bet at 300. I'm hoping that it'll look like I missed a flush draw, because I sort of did. But I also got there, and the cutoff is about to see how. He snap calls. We show him our pair of queens. It's the winner. We don't see what the cutoff has. I imagine it's a pocket pair of some sort. It wouldn't be too surprising if he had ace high though. We get back to our winning ways. We're up over 3,600 as we get closer and closer to the sun rising. It's 4:40 a.m. We're dealt pocket 10s in the cutoff. I raised to 50. Spraggy calls on the button. Andrew seemingly keeps picking up strong hands against us. He 3-bets to 300. We haven't flopped any sets today. Now seems like a good time to do it. I call for 250 more. Spraggy isn't happy with the price that he's getting. He wants to tangle with the YouTube crew, but he doesn't have the cards to do it. He reluctantly folds. It's down to heads up. The flop comes 8-5-3 with 2 spades. It's not one that's going to connect well with Andrew's 3-bet range. He continues putting on the pressure anyway. He bets 260. We definitely won't be folding. I could maybe make the case for raising to get folds out of hands that still have plenty of equity against us, like 2 overs, but I call to see the turn. If the dealer puts out another 8, Andrew won't have many of those in his range. He checks. Maybe he has us beat with a higher pocket pair, or maybe he just has a hand like ace-king or ace-queen. I check back. The river is the ace of diamonds. Now I don't beat anything. Andrew checks. Not a great run out. I check so hard my finger almost goes through the table. Andrew beats me once more. This time he's got pocket queens. The guy is running super hot against us. The session as a whole has gone great though. It's time to rack up a big win. An interesting couple days. I lost almost 16,000 yesterday morning, and then I hopped in the 1500 PLO no limit hold'em mix, cashed in that, made day 2, so that was earlier today that I busted. Then took a little nap, came back out and got to play with some friends. Fun session, made some big hands, was up over 5,000 at the high point. And then Andrew got me at the end. He came over to our table and ended up winning 3,000. It's 5 a.m., so getting tired again. But yeah, it's been very, very interesting past couple weeks for the World Series of Poker. And then we've got the 1-drop coming up here at the Win. So that's going to be really cool. Can't wait for that. The 3 of us are all finished playing. Spraggy was the big winner. I came in second, and Andrew gets third. It's always great playing with good friends. What's not so great is walking back to the car after playing all night while the sun is out. It won't be long before another similar day starts all over again. That's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe buttons. Subscribers run twice as good as non-subscribers. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and I'm happy to get back to you. Let's see, if you're in a country where you can play on WPT Global, be sure to use the bonus code of Brad when you sign up. Take advantage of that $1,200 deposit match and take advantage of the really soft cash games. And then those satellites are coming up as well. I won 3 of them last year, and there were overlays in a lot of them. And it's just a great way to win a buy-in for the WPT World Championship. Let's see, we're doing a WPT Voyage coming up. That'll be March 31st through April 6th, and we're giving away a cabin to one of you. All you have to do to enter to win is follow me on Twitter, retweet a tweet I'll be putting out today, July 31st at 2 p.m. The contest will be running for 10 days, so if you retweet that, you tag a friend who you'd like to bring with you on the WPT Voyage, and you follow WPT, that is how you qualify to win that cabin. I went last year, and I just had a great time playing poker, and the restaurants on the ship were amazing, the destinations were great, and the shows were very entertaining as well, so it was a blast. All right, guys, hope you're all doing well. Hope you're staying safe. Good luck at the tables, and I'll see you next time.